Okay, good morning, everybody. We are Wednesday, the 1st of June. Welcome to where are we? Q2, Q3, Q4, 5, 6, whatever. Oil is getting run around the place the last 48 hours. So, as we all know, by this point, we've had the ban on Russian oil and gas from the EU. We finally have details after 4 to 6 weeks of the market kind of guessing and then just stalling out. The last week, for example. But yesterday in the pre-US video, I talked about downside levels and the 115s to trade, and maybe a lot of people were thinking, well, hold on a second, isn't this like uber bullish? Why is Tim like looking for oil to trade back down on these lower levels? Um, and one part of that is coming from a technical perspective. The market had been up 3.5%, very sharply, on the detail of the release of the details from the European Commission. But the other reason is that this is quite a dynamic shift in the overall picture, right, on oil, and that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. Is that we were trading at 119 or 119.70s. We actually, the high on day just pipped above the 2007 low, which was back adjusted 119.77. Okay, so why was this actually interpreted as bearish? Well, it's actually because OPEC plus, right, the plus sign basically is Russia. So if Russia becomes so toxic that the EU Commission is banning it, which they are now in process of doing, and we have the almost pretty much 90% of the details of that, then OPEC as an organization are going to say, you know what, we don't really like this alliance anymore. It's actually doing more harm than good to our biker gang here, which we've liked for quite a few years, and so therefore we don't want to have OPEC plus anymore. So Minister Novak, out of the room, please. And so that feeds into, so it's kind of first and second order consequence. The first order consequence is the market has a knee jerk reaction, 3.5% up. Second order consequence is the market then realizes that if OPEC plus is no longer and Russia are out of the gang, then that leaves a huge quota left for the remaining members of OPEC to then absorb. And that means that they can then pump at higher levels and produce more oil, basically, as a diminished number of countries. Okay, so some of the members are pumping flat out. Other members are pumping as much as they want to, but they don't want to eat into all of their spare capacity. Their spare capacity is like their dry powder. They're saying, well, we could pump at, let's say, 4 million barrels a day, but we don't want to do that because then we're going to oversupply the market, and we're also not going to be able to address any further market shocks that may come down the line. So they only produce at, say, 2 million barrels a day. Okay, so then if their total available amount of production is 4 million, then they're pumping at 2 million, and they have a spare capacity of 2 million, and they like to have that buffer there should they need to ramp up or down. So not every country is going to have spare capacity of 2 million. In fact, I think the current OPEC total spare capacity is about 4 million, which is pretty tight. But the point is, just want to illustrate here, if we get on over on the chart, we can see oil on the 60 minutes there. We can see it here, clearly. We came in there, 2 o'clock, pit open, excess over that 2007 high, and then down she goes. Now, I was looking at this 115.12s area yesterday for sure. Then I was also looking at the what is today's S1 area for real deep value bars on oil. And I just think if we trade here, it's going to be uber bullish. Because I think, with 8 months to go on, until the both seafaring and pipeline oil and gas will be cut to zero. While that will be cut to zero by the end of the year, it's going that's going to take some time, right? And we're trading at the moment, we're trading July contract, like the N22 futures, right? So maybe looking at the Z22, maybe the Jan 23. Those contracts maybe are sort of now in sort of backwardation, deeper backwardation, than say the June to deck contract, for example. So yeah, just thought I'd jump on here, and because I think a lot of people were kind of thinking, hold on, we're gonna hold up here, we're gonna hold here and bust a move up to 150s, and while 150s over the coming months, but while I am bullish for trade above 119s and 120s here, I just think we need to find those deeper value buyers down around 111s right now on the the July contract, the N22 contract. Now if we break down here, this is probably going to be preceded by announcements out of OPEC that they are taking more stringent measures to cut Russia out of the gang. Then you're also, Reed this morning just informing me that the UAE is looking to add 1 million barrels of production per day. That's already a sign that's kind of signaling that they are looking to absorb, kick Russia out and then absorb that capacity that Russia had within the OPEC alliance, right? So yeah, I'll be scanning for word out of OPEC, word out of any of these energy ministers as to what their attitude is towards Russia being part of OPEC Plus now, or OPEC going forward. All right, so look, the bull's still alive. Buyers at 111.30s. Generally, buyers coming in around 115s. Bit of a gap open there, and the Globex pretty much closed on the bottom, just to the tick. It sharked the level, which I actually don't like to see, which already makes me think, on the gap here in pink, right? It's just, that's the gap. Hasn't closed there by a couple of ticks. Technically, the gap hasn't closed. Just makes me think that we will break down here and go for that deep value area, 111.25s. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting remainder to the week on oil. All right, so just thought I would drop a line, let everyone know what I'm seeing in the oil market at the moment, and listen, have a good day. Talk to you later.